What up, people? What up, what up, what up, what up? Back in the building. What's up? How y'all feeling? Yes, sir. We are back. Good afternoon. We are back with that talk. Salute to all of y'all. What is the deal? I want everybody to see the like button on their way in and on their way out. Hope everybody's had a cool, calm, and collected Saturday. I know it's still, but hoping everybody's chilling out there, doing what they do. I was watching a good actually just now, me and the missus Carter something, I forgot. Not Coach Carter, it's a football movie. Good movie, so I had to pause it. Tell my wife we're gonna come back and we're watching it. I just wanted to do this video. We're gonna do some boxing talk. I just wanted to check in with all my people. What's up to all y'all? We getting into Xander Zayas and where does he fit in at 154? I mean, everybody's talking about everything else, but it's unlikely to hit like that. So we're going to get into that. I'm not probably going to be up here for an hour. I might be up here for a cool 30 minutes. It all depends on, y'all know me, my conversations are not long. Don't drag them. Try not to, but I try to make sense out of stuff and, in my opinion, the best way I can. So we're going to get into that. So, my newcomers, our regulars, everyone, welcome to the No Duck Zone podcast. And once again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support and donate to the channel, you can do that. Anyone interested in merch, y'all know y'all can do that. Hit me, we'll make it happen. Yeah, Spark, what's up? I see you. So, welcome to the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go. So, salute. We got Xander Zayas, who doesn't have a date. Uh, we don't see him involving with anybody right now. He doesn't have a dance partner. I don't see his name being really mentioned. We know he just fought, but we're waiting to see um, what position he gets put in. Um, Now, there's some fights out there y'all might feel that Xander's not ready for, or you think he shouldn't be in, or once again that he's not ready for. Um, Xander's just like any other fighter who is young and hungry and just wants an opportunity, like everybody else. He wants a fair shot, and we're hoping to see him get that. Um, because, like I always say, that 154 is open right now. And just about anybody and everybody can get it at 54. Um, so hold on, y'all. Hold on. Give me 1 second. So, um, so when we look at Xander, we go, okay, where does he fit in at 54? And we look at everybody else that has a dance partner, and I know a lot of us was expecting to see him and Sebastian Findora, but we understand why Sebastian Findora went the Tim Zoo route. You guys will call it a duck. I call it getting the money. I'm hoping one day to see Findora and Xander, but it's just something it can't happen now. It's just something that can't happen now. So when I look and see, okay, this is something that they have to build up at 54 somewhere down the line. Uh, Depends. We don't know how long Fedora will stay at 54, so we don't know. He could easily go to he can Fedora right now could easily jump to 68 right now. Not now, but I'm just saying, in a year and a half or two, if he decided to jump up, he can do that. But I look at Xander Zayas and I go, where does he fit in? He fits perfectly in the division. Um, I mean, who are the guys he could beat at 54? I can't name any. And it's not because he can't beat them, it's that I can't name them because we can't say who can do who. We can't say who can beat who. A lot of us will just go over favoritism or who we just like the most because Xander Zayas is still building his fan base. Now, people are going to say, you're making this video about him because why? Because you met him? No, rather if I met him or not. There's a lot of fighters I have not met, but I speak my piece on them. Excuse me, y'all. I speak my piece on them because everybody deserves that opportunity. We always speaking about 54. That's probably what I've been talking about the most this time. I just spoke about Earl Spence and Jamel, Jamel Charlo, even though we don't know how that's going to go. But I've spoken on a lot of 54. I did Tim Zoo and I think, did I do Tim Zoo and Thurman? No, I didn't do Tim Zoo and Thurman. Excuse me. I haven't did Fedora and Thurman. I'm probably going to work on that next, but I'm going to wait till we get closer to the date. Um, I'm hoping to see Xander return maybe before this year is up. He can get one more in. Now we don't know who that one more would be because it probably wouldn't be somebody that we're familiar with, and that's another thing. Top Rank is moving him the way they're moving him. So I know at some point you guys are gonna want to, and the different sides of the streets don't even matter. So we don't really too much have to worry about that. So whoever his next opponent is probably somebody we might not be familiar with. We don't know. And once again, y'all all are finding reason to complain about who the opponent is because you're not familiar with him. But he's still being built. Um, and not to say he's not ready for the big fights. Um, Sometimes you just gotta let guys go out there and do what they do, but then also you don't want to take the chance of diminishing somebody's career before they can get it going because you can always get into that one fight where you can get permanently damaged. There's levels to this, but I think Xander is ready for whatever comes his way. Rather, if you guys think that he's ready or not, whatever comes that man's way. Give me a second, y'all. Okay, guys, I'm sorry about that. I need you to put my headphones in so you guys will be able to hear me. Hope you guys can. But anyway, so when we look at Xander and we go, who's there at 54 for him. There's always somebody there. You guys are always looking for guys with a name. And I understand that, but when these guys are building their career, especially at the age that he is, it takes time. Now, if a big name is thrown his way, I'm cool with it. I'm super cool with it when that happens because in boxing, we remember, like I said, we have no say so or no control on who fights who. So I'm pretty much okay with it. Um, because that's just how the sport is, the business is. But to see, and this is a shot for everybody, man. So salute to everybody that's out there. Salute to everybody who's made it to the end of the summer. I did my live earlier this morning about making it to the end of the summer and what was your most memorable moment of the summer. So everybody who's made it through the summer, salute. So it's not for me to go pick somebody for Xander. It's not for me to sit up here and say, oh, well, I think this is who Xander should fight. I'm not up here to say who he should fight or who he shouldn't fight. The question of the day is where does Xander Zayas fit in at 154? Now we could easily say he fits in perfectly because it sounds good, but let's keep it real. Where does he fit in? Because I know some of the possible opponents that you guys will mention will only be opponents that you guys are familiar with. I don't know why some of y'all come up here and say some of the stupidest stuff. I swear, stupid stuff. Some of y'all need to get a life, you trolls. But anyway, only faces that y'all are familiar with. So we don't want to see Xander in there with just somebody we never heard of or some guy that might have been on the shelf. Um, you know, but a lot of times boxing moves like this that some things are going to make sense. Then maybe to us it's not going to make sense because we're not in the business. So if we see a guy whose body been shelved or a guy with a tailor-made style, um, we pretty much go, yo, he was tailor-made for him, and out of all the people, why did he put him? Why did he get? We'll never know how good this fighter is because he's running through his opponents and he's not getting anybody that's on his level. But I mean, sometimes there's a reason for that. You guys hear me? Anybody that can hear me, put NDZ. You can hear me. There's two people watching, so I know y'all can hear me. Put NDZ in if you can hear me. Anybody's watching, drop NDZ if you can hear me. Because these headphones, I want to make sure y'all do. Or you could just continue to sit there and just look at me as if y'all don't know what I'm talking about. So when I look at the landscape of 154 and as far as belts and who has the belt and who has this, I don't too much focus on that. I focus more on people holding up the division because when you hold up the division, you're holding up the sport. And that's not a good look. We focus so much on who has what belt, who's making money, who lost the belt. I mean, all that is cool to keep up with. All right, Jason, I appreciate you. It's that's cool to keep up with, right? Oh, he has this belt, he has that belt, or he was stripped of the title. He was that's all right, right? And it's cool. It's cool to to keep up with that. But I'm more focused on who's holding up the division, who is holding up the sport of boxing. We are so, we get so wrapped up in stuff that it's a part of the sport and it's nothing we can do, but we forget sometimes to look at the bigger picture. My question is always who is holding up the sport of boxing? Who's holding up the division? Why are certain fights not getting made? Why are certain guys allowed to hold up the sport of boxing? Because when you hold up your division, you're technically holding up the sport of boxing. Because now the question is, this is happening, and that is happening, and now all the things that's happened in boxing, people will be like, oh, that's cool, but why is that fight not happening? And why has this guy been off for 2 or 3 years? And why has he been allowed to hold on to his belt? You get these kind of questions, and you will continue to get them because you got some people, um, and not everybody gets to do it. It's to me, there's some people who got them. They got them kind of brownie points where they can just hold up the sport and hold up the division, and we get left to assume we know what's going on and we don't. So, when I look at people like Xander Zayas and a lot of young people like him who's coming in hungry, who I hope in 5, 10 years he keeps that same hunger and never loses it. When they're trying to go for a big fight and they can't get it for whatever reason. And what's so crazy is, right, how many times have we seen a fighter step to another fighter, want a shot, they don't get the shot, but then 3, 4 years later, you're in a position where you go into that same fighter who once upon a time came to you, and now you need a shot. So I don't know if that makes sense, but at some point, Xander and Fedora is going to get it on. Rather, if you think who's ready for who, we don't know what would have happened if Keith Thurman and Spence would have got it in. We can only assume that it would have been a great fight, but we don't know what would have happened because it was never made. And by the time it probably could have got made, the other person who got turned down the first time wasn't interested. Not that they were scared. Hey, I came to you for something and you gave me the runaround, and now you are in that position coming to me, and I'm supposed to just give you an opportunity? Absolutely not. Boxing works in so many different ways that if you just take the time to pay attention to what's going on, y'all will understand it much better than what you do today versus assuming. Because the sport is complicated, it can be confusing at sometimes, or sometimes we just confuse ourselves. Um, but it is what it is. So, but when I look at Xander Zayas, I go, okay, Xander, there's something out there for you. Your opportunity is going to come just like every other young fighter. You're going to be great at 54. I want to see that fight with Xander where if Xander was to get hit, how does he respond? Just like any other fighter. I appreciate you, Jason Allen. Thank you for always supporting, brother. Just like any other, and not just with Xander, any other fighter, they get hit. I want to see how they respond. What do they do? Because you're not just challenging the person who's across the ring from you. You're also challenging yourself. And that's the biggest challenge in the world besides your opponent. You challenging yourself. That's the biggest opponent that you have. So I look at Xander and I look at a lot of other fighters, but when I look at him, I go, the kid is definitely special. John, what's up? He's special and talented in so many ways. And I know y'all say something's missing. Xander Zayas needs a little more time. But you know what? Well, there's a lot of fighters who had enough time to prove what they can do, and some of them are still not doing it to this day. So we're not in no position to really say who needs time for what. When some of y'all favorite fighters are still not doing nothing, and they had all the time in the world. Now, yes, there's fights that have to be built up. Trust me, I understand. Every fight just can't be a pay per view. There are fights that you have to build because if not, and you rush something, you might spoil a plan. And that's what y'all don't understand. In boxing, it's not just about making matches. It's not all about who's getting paid all the time and this and that and who got what belt. And, sometimes you don't want to spoil what they got cooking up. And that's what a lot of y'all don't understand. So when y'all asking for certain things, y'all have to realize, man, it might not be time for that yet. Not because that guy can't beat that guy. It's just that in boxing, they always cooking up something. And I know y'all understand that. Y'all ain't slow. Y'all know that they're cooking up something. It's not time. Now, maybe 6 months down the line, maybe a year, maybe a year and a half. It all depends. So, and I'm understanding that part that there's just gonna be some things that we're gonna see in boxing that we're either not trying to understand because we see it our way, or we understand but we still want to see it our way. And fortunately, it doesn't work like that. So the question of the day is, where does Xander Zayas fit in? Where does he fit in at 154? Because if people could tell me he beats nobody at 54, then the first thing I'm gonna tell you is that you're smoking. You're smoking. You got to be crazy if you're gonna look and tell me Xander Zayas can't beat anybody at 54. You might need to get drug tested because believe me, there's some guys there. Rather, if there were guys that been there before he came to 54, or it might be somebody we ain't never heard of. But there's no way you tell me Xander goes up and he can't do nothing at 54. The same way you can't say Boost goes up to 54, don't do nothing. Who knows? You look up, could be a Jerron Boost Ennis versus a Xander Zayas. You just never know. Can you imagine that? A Jerron Boost Ennis versus a Xander Zayas? Not now, but down the line. 2 years from now. Huh? 2027. Xander Zayas versus Jerron Boost Ennis. It can happen. Xander versus freaking Tim Zul. Sebastian Fendora versus Boots. In the next year or two, like I told you before, there's going to be some interesting things going to happen at 54 that we got to get ready to prepare ourselves for. Because what you think might not happen is probably going to actually happen. So, all you people that's out there protecting your favorite fighter by saying what they don't need and this ain't gonna happen, that ain't gonna happen. You can say it, but you better be prepared for your fighter to get into involved in that because your fighter might do something that you don't think he's gonna do, and you can't think for him because you don't know him. So whatever fight you think your fighter is not gonna take, or you think he doesn't belong in, and he actually takes that fight, or he doesn't take it, or whatever the case may be, don't be surprised because we always say you can't put your faith in these fighters. They owe no loyalty to us. Yes, we might pay for the fights, and I always say that, but they still don't. They're gonna make what's best for them. So When I look at Xander, I stopped and I think and I go, something's out there for the young lad. And I'm sure at some point this year, before this year ends, he's going to come back again. He's going to be back again. I'm hoping. I'm not assuming that we'll see him. And if not, we'll see him in 2026. Whoever his opponent is, it will be great. Hell, we could see Xander Zayas and Tim Zoo. Who knows? This is the stuff you got to prepare yourself for. A Xander Zayas and Tim Zoo would be cool. Who, but man, listen, we don't know. We don't know how. I don't think we'll see a Xander Zayas and Earl Spence. I don't think we'll see that. And not to say that Xander's a tune-up, but Earl, mm-mm. So we won't be seeing that. As far as with Xander, we have to sit back and just put our seatbelts on. And this is going to be a long ride. There's definitely somebody out there, and I'm just hoping, just like everybody else, he gets the shot, an opportunity that he's been waiting for. And I will have to go through to see what belts guys got and who's mandatory, who's mandated, or whatever. That's stuff that I have to look in. A lot of times, I'm not gonna lie, I glance at it, but I don't really check into that, y'all. And it's important to check into that so you'll know. But I'm just being honest. A lot of times I don't check into that, but that's stuff that I'm going to start um, checking in because that helps you even more with the topics when you're being asked who's holding what belt or who just dropped this belt or who how can I say it, who just dropped the belt, who's picking up the belt, what belt is what belt are they fighting for. You got to know all this. It helps with the boxing talk a little better, and some people don't mention it, but it's okay. We all still, none of us is perfect when it comes to these topics, so we still got things that we're working on. But that was my question for the day. I didn't want to be long winded with it. I just wanted to say, where does Xander Zayas fit in at 154? What could we see happen in the next 6 months to a year or 2 years with him? Because there's somebody out there. And just because somebody might not want to see him doesn't mean he doesn't deserve his opportunity to showcase his talent like he has continued to do fight after fight. So we're going to hope, we can just hope and pray that we see that. And not just with him, but every other fighter who's coming up, who's looking for that opportunity from Shu Shu to Raymond Ford, or a lot of these young guys who are just, but that a lot of these young guys that don't have nothing but time on their hand. We want to see all of them being able to be successful, taking care of their families better today than they did yesterday. That's what I want to see these fighters do. Um, that's what matters to me. Nothing else. So, let's be a little more patient than what we are and see what happens with a lot of these guys. Um, because, like I said, the end of this year is a great year, man. It's great, man. I'm not even worried about it. It's amazing. And we want to have more great years, like around this time next year, and when 2026 is coming to an end. I mean, we want to have another great dope year, and but that's why we have to keep just believing in or just hoping that, hey, Let's sit back sometime and let boxing do their job, and let's not try to do it for them and assume stuff. And sometimes just let nature take its course. Because when you don't, that just it overwhelms you or it just upsets you and puts you in a place where you just don't need to be in. So, question of the day: where does Xander Zayas fit in at 54? I did the best that I could and told y'all, man. He can be up there with anybody as far as fighting. He might, I mean, y'all could say he's not ready now, and it might be true. We're not talking about him just fighting the top stars. We're just talking about him being the 54 period. Let's sit back and let's see what happens with him in the future. God bless him in his career, and we just want to see some wars out here. Remember, I told y'all we want to see some wars. Let's hope the next time we see Xander in, it'll be a war, whether we're familiar with the opponent or not. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I don't want to get off early, but I got to, man. I'll be back tomorrow. Y'all know me. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know what it is. It's the No Duck Zone podcast. Let's go.